So my name's Ann Steffen. I am a licensed clinical counselor. I happen to work for KEPRO or KEPRO, however you'd like to say it, which is the Employee Assistance Program for Prince George's County Community College. So just a tiny bit about me. I've been a practicing counselor for a very long time. I don't want to tell you how long, but I do want to tell you that I am a native of Prince George's County, born and raised in Prince George's County, actually a graduate of Prince George's County Community College. Then I got my master's at Bowie State. I've done a lot of work in Prince George's County. It is my heart. So I'm going to say that to you first. Now, let me let everybody get in, and then I'm going to unmute everybody, and let's just all say hi, and then we'll talk about how to take care of ourselves and how to remain resilient. Ready? Hi, everybody.
Hi, fellow bulldog.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
To see everyone.
Oh, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Love it.
Hello.
Thank you. That's 42 of us. Okay, so I'm going to put everybody on mute. We're going to talk a little bit. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. By all means, if you have something that you want to stop me and you want to share or talk about or ask a question, you can use the chat. That would be fabulous. I very much would like this to gear this what you all are looking for. Okay. Okay, here we go. Oh, let me let people in. All right. So, we're going to talk about self-care and remaining resilient. And here's why we're talking about remaining resilient. So for most of us, this pandemic has touched multiple areas, of our life. It's affected our job, school for our kids, our social life, health, finances, and it's gone on for multiple months. It has transitioned from being a very short-term stressor, which is what I think most of us thought it might be. So a short-term stressor into a very long-term chronic stress. So in and of itself, the virus is a stress, but all these areas of our life that it's touched has just created this sort of fatigue for most people. We're just tired of this constant sort of pressure from the pandemic. So it's okay. I mean, that's natural. We're human. That's how we would feel. What I'm going to try to talk about, like things that we can put in place just to sort of keep going, sort of carrots dangling in front of us so we can get through each week, each day, each month, whatever length of time you need. So there's a lot of studies that show that negative health, like this constant sort of pandemic and all the stress that comes with it, definitely can cause some health issues. It can cause some physiological issues, psychological issues. I mean, it can really affect us in every area, and we will talk about that. But ultimately, I want you to know that we as people, we as human beings, we as United States of America citizens, us people, we're highly resilient. We have a history of being able to adapt to all kinds of difficult circumstances. And most of the time, the way we do this is by increasing our coping resources and coping strategies, social support, using the people that we care about, that friends and family, using the things that we know health-wise, eating well, sleeping, all those things. That's what we're going to talk about. I just want you to know that as humans, like, we don't like uncertainty. We tend to do much better with routines. So they're essential for us. They create a sense of normalcy. They help us manage what's going on. And since COVID, it's not only are our routines disrupted, but the routines of everyone around us, our family, our coworkers, everyone. And while short-term pressures and stress are normal and can help us sort of change in positive ways, this chronic stress can cause a huge deterioration in our quality of life, our physical level. We can tend to be a little more pessimistic. So it really can affect everything in our life. That's why we're trying to come up with and really point out to you strategies that you can use to sort of keep going. All right. I hope everyone can see the PowerPoint. Can you all see it? Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
So again, real quick,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about like recognizing the signs and symptoms of stress, really taking a look at our own lives and coming up with looking at where we're maybe off balance a little bit, talk a little bit about how we can reduce the stress, like if you're working from home and you have to go into work, how to create an effective family unit, because that is all we need, that support. That's all part of what keeps us cohesive and balanced. So talk a little bit about time management skills, and then really the benefit of self-care. So I would love you to think about this for a second. When you think about stress and your response to stress, which statement really best describes how you respond to it? Are you someone who sort of just takes a deep breath and says, I got it, and keeps going? Are you someone that, I'm sorry, that smiles and thinks, you know, oh, well, I mean, there's nothing really I can do about it. I might as well just go with the flow, right? Are you someone who gets angry, like at the situation, like this person isn't doing their part? How come this person isn't doing this, and gets frustrated and then vents to anybody who will listen? Are you someone who just sort of holds it all in and gets to a breaking point where you just sort of have an emotional kind of breakdown and cry and then just sort of run and really want to hide, like want to not talk about it? I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to think about it, and sort of isolate yourself from things. Or are you someone who thinks about solutions to the problem? Like, well, this isn't working for me. Maybe I can try this. So these are all multiple responses people can have to stress, but really, I would love you to sort of have some sort of insight into what you think your natural inclination is. And it can change from depending on the type of stress, like work stress, you may handle one way, family stress another way, but really know yourself well enough so that you know what your natural inclination is, like how you would normally react. So is stress good or bad? It's both, depending on the stress. A good stress, sometimes like having a deadline, that's stressful. Speaking in front of people, sometimes that's stressful. But what it does, it's good stress. It sort of contributes to our productivity. It helps us feel successful. It gives us a challenge, and most of us really try to rise to that challenge. So there's really, stress is a part of our life, and it does have some good benefits. The bad part of stress is it absolutely can suck the life out of us, especially when it's prolonged chronic stress like we're going through now. It can drain your productivity. It can you can sort of develop a negative sort of focus on everything. So a negative interpretation of things that are happening. Stress, this is what affects us everywhere: emotionally, cognitively, behaviorally, physiologically. Physiologically, we can get high blood pressure. We can have stomach issues, ulcers, right? We can get headaches. Our hair can fall out. All sorts of physiological effects can happen from stress. Behavioral, we can isolate ourselves. We can act out. We can get angry. We can get sad. We can self-medicate. So sort of go towards alcohol or drugs to sort of help us manage things. Cognitively, we can forget things. We can have a difficult time sleeping. We can have a difficult time focusing. And then of course, emotional. So anxious, stress, all sorts of things. Have any of those things happen? Or all of those things happen, or different things happen at different times, because we're all individuals. So it does affect us differently, but these are definitely some of the ways that stress can affect you. So these are some symptoms. Now, take these sort of with a grain of salt, because this is sort of like the COVID symptoms where they give you like a million symptoms. It could be allergies, it could be COVID. So this is sort of the same thing. Like stress can affect you, like you could also be sick. It could be a lot of things. You are recognizing that you are experiencing these things for an extended length of time. It really is an opportunity for you to take a look at finding that balance in your life and putting some self-healing, self-coping sort of strategies in place. So headaches, maybe getting sick more often, sleeping too much, not being able to sleep, falling asleep and waking up and your mind racing, difficulty concentrating, exhaustion, just not feeling like you're able to be yourself or do what you need to do to function at home in your job. You could have moodiness, irritability, and increased aggression, You could compulsively eat or you could not eat. Like it just depends on your sort of personality. But just have that sort of constant sense of inner tension, like just something's not right. You're just not feeling good. All of those can be signs of stress. So remember that when you're working with coworkers and maybe they're acting different than they normally would do, or even your family, friends, where you see them behave sort of out of character, where they're just getting angry at something or really seem frustrated or having trouble remembering things or focusing. And remember that maybe that's a time for you to sort of reach out and ask and just say, is everything okay? You doing all right? You want to go for a walk? You want to have a conversation? Because when we're in the midst of stress, it's difficult for us to have sort of that insight to know that that's why we feel this way. But it's great to sort of just recognize that those are some of the signs and symptoms. You can help yourself and you can help others. So I talked about finding a balance. So I find this incredibly important. I think you can all, if you want to, you certainly can do this at home or wherever you are. Take a look at the activities and responsibilities that you are dealing with, both in your personal life and your work life, your professional life, and list it, write it out, all the things you do and spend time each week. So 1 week, like approximately how much time do you spend at work and doing work and career stuff, home and family stuff, spirituality stuff, education, time with friends. How much time do you devote to yourself, community and service, and then health, exercise, nutrition, sleep. Really take a look at a normal week for you or 2 weeks. And this is how you're going to have that sort of insight into where things are off balance. You should be able to recognize rather quickly if you're spending a lot of time doing one thing and neglecting all these other pieces, because these are the pieces that make up us as human beings. These are the things that create that balance and sense of worth and sense of self for us. So I encourage you to do that. And then and this can change. It can change, week to week. And here's the other piece. Balance doesn't mean 50-50. It doesn't mean that in these categories, you have to have the exact same amount of time. What balance means is if you take a look at this and you find that you're spending 50% of your time at work and the other 50% of your time alone, I would say to you that doesn't look too balanced. You should be sprinkling it through all of these, or recognize if that in fact is what your last week looked like, that this week you need to spend some time and add some focus on some other things for yourself. So it can be sort of a template for where you are in that week and where you'd like to be the next week. But spending time taking care of yourself is incredibly important. This is just a picture. Obviously, like finding that balance and figuring out is like walking a tightrope. So we talked about the 50-50 balance. It doesn't mean that. It's important that you take a look at and probably fill your life with both achievement and enjoyment, because that is what makes us who we are. Some people, and you would know this for yourself, get a lot more out of feeling like they've achieved something or accomplished something. Others get a lot out of enjoyment and help and feeling connected to others. Whatever works for you, I'm not here to say one way is right or wrong, but know yourself. Know what really feeds your soul and try to put that in your everyday life if you can. Think about what's happening right now and that sort of balance that we looked at, where you are with all the responsibilities that you have, and can you work within the parameters of your current situation? Can you ensure that everyone, including yourself, is getting the best of you or the best of that situation? And take a look at it. Are there any areas where you really need to find that balance? Are the things that you're utilizing that make you feel better, is it working well? Is the strategy working? And if not, what do you want to change? Like really having and really sitting down and taking a look at this to find this balance. So ultimately, identify that we're all stressed. It is a stressful time, no doubt about it. And just sort of accept it and not fight it, but learn how to manage it, because we can't control the amount of stress that's coming in. But the things that we can control are how we respond to that stress, how we let that stress impact us. So our perception of things, those are the ways, that is what we can control, how we allow these things that happen outside of us to affect us. We can't control the amount of stress, what's happening on the outside, other people, or anything like that. So we focus on the things that we can control, the things we do have power over, and we really gain some insight into how we normally manage situations and where we're sort of off balance. So when we're talking about stress and managing stress, there are pretty much 3 phases that we go through when we feel stressed. There's short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So short-term is our quick fix for stress, right? It could be that you are working on something and you just can't see, you're just not getting it. So you get up and you walk out and you get yourself a cup of coffee or soda, or you just take a walk around and then you come back. That would be a quick fix. That's just you sort of shaking it off, having a conversation with yourself and coming back to business. A medium term, it says 10 minutes. I would say can be 10 minutes to 30 minutes. That's where maybe you need to go for a run or go sit down and have lunch with your kids, or really put a lot of thought into what's causing you the stress and sort of thinking about it and trying to come up with a strategy in the moment. So taking a little more time to figure it out and away from that stressor. So removing yourself, if possible, from the stressor or from that environment, changing the environment, sometimes can really help sort of snap you back into where you're creative and your brain is working. Long-term is preventing and dealing with the future stress. So if in fact you're finding that your stress is coming from too many distractions when you're trying to work, long-term would be coming up with hours, maybe a sign on your door, maybe recognizing that you need to sort of manage your time differently. If it's your kids that are, knocking on the door because they need help with virtual school, or somebody's hungry or something, it would be sort of taking a look at that and coming up with a plan and putting that into place so that you could long-term not have the constant stress of that. So these are the rules for not letting stress rule your life. Easy to say, not as easy to implement, but important to hear, okay? Important for everyone to at least acknowledge it and hear it. So concentrate on taking care of yourself. We can't take care of other people if we don't take care of ourselves. We literally can't take care of much if we're not taking care of ourselves. And I'll be honest with you, when we are under pressure and stressed, we generally let go of the things that we really need to do for ourselves. So for example, if you're somebody who, used to go to the gym or exercise, when we get stressed, that's sort of the first thing we say we don't have time for. I don't have time for stress. For exercise, I'm so busy. Where am I going to do it? Or let's say maybe church was something that helped you with stress, and you say things like, I can't make it to the mass. It's just too much. I have too much going on, or I can't go and visit friends, or I can't go and see my mom. So we generally put the things that give us joy or that sense of achievement, like we talked about earlier, we tend to not do those things. And they are the things that we need to do. So we need to find time and make that our priority, because if we don't have those things, if those things aren't in place, eventually we will not be able to do much of anything. We will absolutely suffer from not taking care of ourselves. So talk about stress with other people, coworkers. If you're feeling like, if there's something that's hanging over your head, I would talk about it with somebody. It definitely helps to sort of problem solve. It helps to see things through a different lens when you can share it. Talk to your family, find out what's going on with them, your kids, your parents, your friends. Really, communication helps us understand things from different perspectives. It allows us to know how someone else is feeling or what's going on with them without guessing, because we tend as human beings to sort of guess what we think is going on, when really asking somebody is the the best way, and you get a much more adequate picture and more realistic. Keeping a schedule as routine as possible. Even though many of us are not in our office, we're at home, I would strongly encourage you to get up in the morning the same time you normally would. Get dressed. I was talking to someone the other day, a client who said they were doing their schoolwork. It was a college kid. She was doing her schoolwork from home, but in her pajamas. And she talked about being in her pajamas all day and not having a lot of motivation. And I was sharing with her, well, if you're in your pajamas, sort of the mindset is you're relaxed, you're supposed to chill. So I'm not surprised that you're not motivated to then get work done, because you're sort of telling yourself that that's really not the time. So get dressed, get up at a regular time, take a lunch break at your regular time, and end work if possible at your regular time. Keeping that routine is one of the things we can control and really does allow us to feel like we're capable in getting things done. Allow time for hobbies. So one way to look at this pandemic, if possible, is to see it as somewhat of a gift. When we're looking at things in a positive light, thinking about the things that we do have, thinking about the things we can do and not the things we can't do and don't have. So focus on the things you can and do have. We have more time generally than we used to have, because we're not driving to and from work. We're not driving kids to and from school necessarily. We're not taking kids to and from sports, maybe. So we actually have a little more time, and we're not going to have this forever. So maybe take advantage of it. And if there's some hobby that you've been wanting to do, or you started something and didn't finish it, to really sort of force yourself, push yourself to take that on, or to learn something new. It's a great time to sort of learn something new that keeps our brain going. It's a distraction from the mundane, from the routine. So I would absolutely encourage you to maybe come up with a hobby, or to finish a hobby, or to really engage in hobbies that you have had in the past and just didn't have time for. Participate in physical fitness. I'm sure that's not new to anybody. Exercise is incredibly helpful to manage stress and anxiety and depression, because it allows us to kick up our own endorphins. And when I say physical fitness, it doesn't have to be like boot camp. It doesn't have to be hardcore exercise. I would encourage you to get up from your desk every hour and just walk up and down your stairs, or walk around somewhere, or get outside when you can. Take a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute walk. Even 5 and 10 minutes can make a world of difference. It still creates those endorphins. It still shifts your brain from where you're sitting to a very active sort of brain function. It is fabulous for you. Just don't get caught up in you have to do it for an hour, or it has to be weights, or it has to be running. It needs to be whatever works for you, but you need to do it. And once you start doing it, I almost guarantee that you will reap the benefits and continue doing it. And you get all sorts of benefits: emotional benefits, cognitive benefits, physical benefits. It is a win-win situation. Utilize spiritual resources. That's a coping strategy. That's a support network. By all means, use every support system you can to talk about things, to talk about positive things. Another piece of advice or a suggestion would be sort of recognize who's positive in your life, who has positive outlooks, and sort of when you feel maybe that you're stuck, try to engage with someone who's positive, who you know talks about gratitude, who really has this great outlook on life, and try to sort of get some of them, hang out with them for a little bit and see if it sort of helps you shift from negative thinking to positive thinking. If you can, don't turn to overuse of alcohol, tobacco, caffeine, or sugar. A lot of us, that's our crutch, is ice cream or candy or things like that, especially now that it's October and Halloween. Like, really watch yourself that you're not using these other things just to work on your mood, if that makes sense. And if you can postpone major life decisions, if you're feeling overwhelmed and extremely stressed, you're really not cognitively alert, 100%. So if you can, maybe not make those decisions until you're feeling better and feeling more balanced. That's what I would encourage you to do. And don't hesitate to accept help. By all means, call your EAP, ask a friend, coworker, anybody, ask for help. It is proven, or reach out to someone and help someone else. Acts of service, acts of kindness, those are actually other ways that you can reduce stress. They actually give us endorphins. They make people feel good when they're able to help other people. Just again, some other tips for how to reduce stress at work. And I sort of talked about this. Take frequent breaks. Maybe sit at your desk and tell yourself to relax and breathe deeply. Anytime you can sort of set that time management, like you really do have your schedule, a routine, and you sort of stick to it, it could potentially help reduce stress at work. You're not losing things, you're not late, you're not like not aware of something that's due. Lighten up. I would absolutely say be kind to yourself. Don't sweat the small stuff. We are all sort of really weighted down by all these changes and the things that we can't control. And especially those of you who are caring for other people, your kids, maybe your parents. I mean, it's a lot of things to juggle. And no matter what, you're going to drop a ball from time to time. And that's human nature. And forgive yourself for something like that. Learn to listen to other people, learn to listen to your body. That's all part of having that insight into into the symptoms and knowing what works for you. Try to get more sleep. Maybe find a mentor that's sort of along the lines of someone who's positive. So these are just things that you can do work-wise that should help you be able to sort of manage some of that stress. So this is a quote that says, time is the scarcest resource unless it's managed, and nothing else can be managed. So if you're not managing your time, it's difficult to manage anything else in your life. So any sort of routine that you can put in place really could be beneficial. So maybe think about this for a minute. When it comes to time management, when it comes to managing all the things that you have to do, all those responsibilities that we talked about in that prior slide, where do you get stuck? Where do you have the biggest issue? Is it planning it? Is it following a schedule? Is it prioritizing, multitasking? Is it everything? Is it none of them? But sort of be, again, aware of how you function and where you really need to sort of make some changes or what's working. Here's a process for time management. Plan, really specify your goals. What is it that you want to accomplish? Get it organized, arrange the activities. I'm going to do this first, this second, this third. Ask for help if you need to. Delegate if you need to. Be very direct. Reward yourself. I love that. So say to yourself at the end of the day, I'm going to do this once I get this finished. Really, that's important, just like it would be for anybody. Kids, use that positive reinforcement. Tell yourself, that you've done a great job. It's the end of the day. Look at all the things that you've accomplished and sort of pat yourself on the back. This isn't easy what we're going through. And then maybe evaluate, monitor your attitude and your behavior, like recognize how you feel in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Take a look at when you get something accomplished, how that makes you feel when you're behind schedule. Just really know yourself, because you are the one who's going to be able to put things in place and change things. This is for effective delegation at work. If you're a manager or a team lead or whatever, just really, if you need to do that, determine what it is that you need to do, choose the right people, make sure you ask as a request, give very clear expectations and outcomes, make sure everyone has what they need to be able to get something done so that there isn't any added frustration or stress, and then give sincere recognition. Even if you are working remotely, we can still celebrate the things that we used to celebrate when we were working in an office. You still can celebrate someone's birthday. You still can, celebrate if someone, had a baby or whatever. We can still celebrate people. We can still congratulate people. We can still be there as a support team, even remotely. And then again, as a manager, just accept that we all may do things differently. If you're giving the expectation and the task and what the outcome needs to be, don't get stuck in somebody has to do it exactly the way you would do it. That just creates more stress for you and more stress for them. We all do things differently, and sort of acknowledge that. And in these times, we do things differently. Oh, so here we go. We can use these same things to reduce stress. These strategies at home for getting things done, having chores done, having kids help, getting the homework done. First, it starts with communication. Everyone sort of sits down and we say, this is what we're going to do. So-and-so is going to do this and that, and come up with a delegation, the tasks, just like you would actually if you were a manager, like this is what needs to be done. This is the outcome that we want. And maybe rotate tasks, maybe so people don't get bored and, somebody does the sweeping like the little picture has, and somebody does vacuuming, and then the next day they do something different. Use incentives. Money can be incentives. Screen time can be incentives. For us, it can be incentives. We can use incentives for ourselves as adults. One of us gets to not cook dinner that night, and you get to delegate where you want to eat or what you want someone else to cook you for dinner, whatever makes you happy, whatever is incentive to you. And then natural consequences. So if something doesn't get done, then there needs to be a natural consequence of that. Lower your standards. That's going to be my theme for this, is that you need to take care of yourself. You need to relax. We need to recognize that everyone's under a lot of stress. So things are not going to be like they were before. And we just need to be kind to each other, understand that people are feeling stressed and maybe trapped, and just focus on sort of the positive. Well, some of this got done. Well, we did half the house. Well, we did half the laundry. Like really celebrate the positive. Okay. Strategies for work and play. Just really set limits for yourself. Figure out what works in your lifetime. Like, when can we take a break? How long can we do it? Communicate what you need. Encourage your children, your family, your coworkers, your friends to communicate what they need. Do what works for you. Really find that balance of support and fun and work and play, and recognize that that's so important, and that is what is going to keep you going and keep it not feeling so heavy, and it will keep us hopeful. So I really did sort of talk about this, to distinguish what can be controlled and what can't be controlled. This is what helps us sort of stay homeostasis, like feel balanced. When we're focused on, I can't do this anymore and I can't do that anymore, and we're not allowed to do this, it really is sort of a wasted amount of emotional energy, because you're right, you can't. So if you can't change that, it just keeps you stuck and hopeless when you feel that way. If you begin to start looking at the things that you can control and you can fix, or you can do, things that we are able to do, then it allows for some hope, and it puts us in a sort of forward motion. So it allows us to keep moving forward. And it is all about that sort of perception of recognizing when we get stuck in, well, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight because I can't do this and I can't do that and we can't see them. But shifting that, saying, okay, well, what can I do? I can invite people over. We can sit outside. We can have a Zoom happy hour, like by really being creative and focusing on the things that you can control and finding sort of that gratitude and moving in that forward direction. And because it's all about a balance and all about our perspective of things. Can't control what's happening around us, can control how we allow it to impact us, our interpretation of things. So the next piece is remember that balance is an ongoing process. 1 week it could be where there is a lot of focus on work because some big project is due. The next week it could be you take a day off and you focus on something different. So balance is an ongoing process. It changes depending on what's going on. We're human beings, life changes. It's very unpredictable as we are all experiencing. So recognize that. Don't get stuck in having it, thinking that it has to be exactly the same and even. It's a process. So regularly talk about it with your family. Like, is it working? Are we balancing work and kids? Like, kids, are you happy? Honey, husband, wife, are you happy? Co-workers, supervisors, have a conversation. Talk about what's working and not working so that you can then shift and make changes. Change is what propels us through life. We are ever changing. It's a gift that we have, that we can do that. And keep your sense of humor and keep it in perspective. That's what you have. Like, that's your gift. Those are the things that you can have power over and can change. And they will 100% affect your feelings and how you are able to keep going through and creating that resilience, which means the ability to keep going even in a tough situation. And it's all about how you see things. So balance is, balance in relationships is necessary. Balance for yourself is necessary. And the way to really make sure that you stay balanced, or to at least have insight into what balance looks like for you, is taking care of yourself. It is the most important thing you can do and have control over. But that looks different from everyone, for everyone. Don't get caught up in your kids have to relax the way you do or take care of themselves the way you do, or spouse or friends. It's different for all of us. But know yourself. Know what works for you. Schedule downtime. Actually give yourself permission to maybe not do anything if that's your downtime, to watch something stupid on television, to take a bath, to whatever it is that allows you to feel relaxed. Put it in your schedule. Make sure you're doing it. Try to come up with the routines, just because they do allow us that time frame to get things done. We tend to be more productive when we have that. Know your limits. Get support, hang out with friends, hang out with family, talk with family, see family, figure out how you can do those things in a way that's safe for you and safe for them. It's possible. It's going to be different for everyone, but just try to get creative and think about it in a positive way. Ultimately, here's the last piece. This is all about your employee assistance program. Prince George's County Community College office offers this to you as what they call a free value added benefit. You guys have access to counselors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what I mean by that is you can call that 877 number. Everyone who answers the phone is a clinician. If you were in crisis or struggling in the moment, they would absolutely talk to you. But what they're going to do is talk to you and figure out what's going on and try to get you the best, connect you with the best therapist, if that's what you're looking for, or whatever it is that you're looking for. We're going to try to connect you with that. You all get up to 8 sessions. It says in person, but we're in a different world now. They may be in person. Potentially they're going to be Zoom. It's not exactly Zoom. It's HIPAA compliant. It's confidential. Well, we can visually see the counselor and have a session. You get up to 8 of them at no cost to you at all. This benefit is for you and any dependents that you have, anyone with your insurance, on your insurance, or living in your home. So it's if you had children that maybe were in college away, they would still have access to this benefit. Management consultations, if you're a manager and you are just struggling with maybe some of your employees, worried about somebody, you can call us and we certainly can talk to you about supervisory issues, management issues. You have a financial and legal benefit, and that consists of a free 30-minute consultation with attorneys or financial advisors on anything you can think of: bankruptcy, credit help, college college scholarships. Legal issues are, criminal law, family law, wills and trusts, real estate law, anything you can think of. You call us, tell us what you're looking for. We connect you. You get an opportunity to call that lawyer and schedule the appointment or the financial advisor at your convenience. And if you decide that you want to hire them, they work at a 25% discounted rate. It's very similar to the child care, elder care consultation referral service. So this is pretty amazing. So let's just say you have a parent who lives in Florida and you can't travel down there. So you're just not sure how they're doing. You really are sort of concerned. It would really ease your mind if somebody could go in and maybe make sure they're taking their medication or make sure they're eating 2 meals. You call us, tell us what you're looking for, what the parameters are. We'll do all the research for you, tell us what the cost is you're looking for and all that. We'll do that research and email that to you. And then you can go ahead and find that service. But it's really nice that it takes that right off your plate. And that's for anything, childcare, schools, daycare, convenience services, car rentals, vacation, pet places. I mean, anything you can think of that you are interested in finding, but you just don't even know where to start. If you call us and give us the parameters, we'll do that research in a geographical area or whatever the radius is you want. Just give us all that and we'll take care of that for you. And then the last one is a website. So if you go to www.eaphelplink.com, the username is Prince George's. There is tons of information. There is tons of literature you can read, self-help literature on every topic you can imagine. There's tons of sections just about COVID, how to talk to your kids about COVID, how to manage, stress in COVID, how to work through COVID, relationships through COVID, all those things, but also regular, like how to parent a teen, how to manage being in a sandwich generation, meaning of parents that you need to take care of, and at the same time, children that you need to take care of, and what that looks like, and just some suggestions on how to manage all of those things. There's webinars, there's articles, YouTube videos, anything you can think of are there. Okay, so that's the end of this, but I would love to hear from you all. If anybody has a question or wants to share maybe some way they've been able to manage stress and something that's working for them. I love to hear new ideas of something I can try so I don't feel boxed in. Anybody have any stories or questions? I can't see the chat. Anybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we know, we've been teaching on Zoom since June, July, I guess. And so I started taking, I play guitar. I've been playing guitar for about, 40 some years. And so I played piano when I was younger, about 45 years ago. I took some lessons for a few years. And then I took some lessons on GarageBand a few years ago, and I stopped. And then I just decided to start taking them again. And so I found it really helpful to learning. It's basically learning something new because you're learning to sight read and you're learning a new instrument in a different way. And it really relieves a lot of the stress. And also I do a lot of yard work and gardening, and that really helps to calm my mind. Just like what you were saying earlier, just being out in nature. And it also helps because you're getting exercise, but I don't have to worry about wearing a face mask or people getting near you when you're walking around the neighborhood, because it seems like in our neighborhood, hardly anybody wears face masks. So I don't mind being at home. I think, just like you said before, I think it's fantastic because we have more time. And so I'm probably going to do more creative pursuits, maybe write a book, maybe do a cartoon strip, learn new computer programs like Adobe Creative Suite, which I've been procrastinating on. I made some beer a couple weeks ago, and so that's going to be ready in a couple weeks to drink. Hopefully, if it turns out, just like home brewing. So I was reading just one more thing. When they had the plague in England during the mid 1600s, probably familiar with this, Isaac Newton retreated back to his home, and he did a lot of amazing discoveries back then. And apparently also Shakespeare wrote a lot of his plays during one plague period, etc. So I think it's a time to really sort of do that. And I teach virology and superbugs here at PG Community College. So unfortunately, I'm well aware too much of the coronavirus. Just had class yesterday. And so, yeah, it's very challenging to not be bogged down by that. And what change is part of life, as you said. And I think that was an excellent point. Anyway, that's all I have to add. So thanks a lot.
No, thank you for sharing. That was fantastic. And I don't know that I said that enough, but absolutely anything that you can do creatively, sing, play music, listen to music, dance, paint, build, it makes your brain fire in a different spot. It's very difficult to be both anxious and creative at the same time. Creativity and anything that uses that sort of part of your brain also really releases those endorphins and makes you feel good. So I encourage you to sometimes, even if you can't get out of the house, or remember I talked about, let's not talk about the things you can't do. Turn music up as loud as you can and be a kid again. Pick a song that reminds you of something that you really love, being a teenager, being a little kid, whatever it was, and dance and sing that you can't sing anymore. It is incredibly stress relieving. It really is pretty amazing. So find the things that you can do and go for it. That was so helpful. Thank you. And gardening, yeah, I grew my own vegetables this summer, and I haven't had time to do that. I did it when I was, before kids, but I haven't been able to do it after kids. And I was so proud of myself. A little tomato here or there. It wasn't spectacular, but I ate it.
Right.
Right. Anybody else want to share? That was really very helpful.
Are the EAP benefits available to adjunct faculty and part-time employees?
So I saw that question. I was can I look that up? I can't look it up while I'm on now, but I certainly can look that up and get back to you.
And it's Sabrina. Yes.
Okay,
Sabrina's here.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the benefits are available to part-time on-calls, adjuncts, anyone that is a PGCC employee.
Awesome. There you go.
Good to
Fantastic.
know.
I have a question.
Okay.
What's the company code when we get go into the EAP help link?
Prince George's.
Okay.
I don't believe it's a cap affected. If it doesn't work, tell me and I'll look it up specifically.
Okay.
So somebody said they started painting again after years of not having enough time. That's the best part. They said of staying home. That's fantastic. I do think if we try to change the lens in which we're looking at things and really trying to find the benefit of this change, it will change our perspective. It will change our interpretation of things, and it will help us become resilient and continue going forward. It is never going to be the same, no matter what. But that doesn't mean it's going to be bad, right? We can always find the positive. That is what, honest to God, keeps people going.
What was the web link again for the EAP?
So it's eaphelplink.com. And I can go back to that screen. The code is Prince George's.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is
This
that
is
with-
Cheryl in professional development. Great session, a lot of really good information. I do want to do a quick housekeeping note. For those of you who are on the Zoom and your name does not appear in the window, let's say it has Galaxy S9 or just your first name, which is pretty common, like Sharon. If you want to get credit for attendance, I need you to put your name in the chat very quickly before we close so I can make sure the professional development office loads it to your transcript. So that's only if you only have a first name or a last name, or your instrument is the only thing showing in your screen. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Everyone's doing it.
Yep.
Okay, so this is fabulous. Someone else said they're growing herbs. Yep, I grew herbs. I grew basil, and it says they grew now they're going fall vegetables. Well, maybe I need to get on that. Cabbage, Brussels sprouts. I mean, that's another thing that, I mean, just focus on, like, we have more time to cook, right? Like, we're not always eating fast food. I mean, I know I know there's something about hot fries. Like, I'm not going to discount that. Like, there's something really good about that. But now you have maybe an opportunity to really learn how to cook in a healthy way. We have to be healthy. We have to take care of ourselves. That doesn't mean you can't splurge, but if you want to live a life where you're going to actually have some quality, you do need to take care of yourself. And that does mean eating healthy food. So it's a great time to sort of learn and practice and try things out. So sharing recipes with your coworkers, like, or family, like having everyone come up with, not really making a cookbook, but, you know, like everyone sharing a recipe that they've tried, to try something new, because trying something new also is very invigorating and can help you sort of manage stress. It's very distracting and it gives you hope and something new to try. Oh, you got to wrap up. All right. Thank you, everybody. I so appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. And have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Great workshop.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. It
Yeah.
was great.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.